What's up everyone, I'm going to start a new mini-series where I explain my 10 favorite rock and metal albums from a certain year. I will do these at a random order however I feel like it, and the first year we are talking about is one of my favorite years for heavy metal, 1986. It was a really good year for metal in my opinion, especially for thrash metal, so let's count down my top 10 albums from 1986. Starting off at number 10 we got King Diamond's Fatal Portrait. This album is really amazing. I really like everything King Diamond was in. His music is always so dark and heavy, and this album is no exception. This album is dark, heavy, and progressive, and King Diamond's vocals sound amazing. Pretty much every song kicks ass on this album. If you like progressive dark sounding music, then King Diamond and Merciful Fate are just for you. At number 9 is Pleasure to Kill from Kreator. I am a big fan of extreme thrash, and this album is fucking extreme alright. The tracks are really fast, almost hard to keep up, but they sound brutal as hell, and I just love it. This album is definitely my favorite Kreator album as it's their fastest and heaviest. If you like brutal extreme thrash, check out this album. The Almighty Priest is up next. I already talked about this album a lot, but for those of you who don't know, this album is really underrated and is a quality take on hair/glam metal with amazing solos and catchy as hell melodies and riffs. If you don't like this album, give it another chance. At number 8 is Darkness Descends from Dark Angel. Just like Pleasure to Kill, this album is also extreme thrash, but this one is a bit stronger in my opinion. I really like the faint raw production, and Gene Hoglan is a fucking beast on drums. He is one of the best thrash metal drummers. This album sounds really evil, kinda in a way like what Hell Awaits from Slayer would sound like. Dark Angel is an amazing band and this album would be my favorite from them. Up next at number 6 is going to be The Dark by Metal Church. If you guys haven't listened to this band yet, go listen to them right now. This band is really badass. They are a really heavy power metal band that has a really unique sound. Kinda similar to Savage, The Dark is one of their best albums and was the last one with the original lineup. David Wayne is an amazing lead singer. His voice is really unique and he has a really high register. This album is really fast and heavy for the most part. It's got more thrashy shorter songs, and it's got longer creepier songs. If you guys want to get into Metal Church, I suggest starting with their debut album, but The Dark is also a must listen from this band. Starting off the top 5 we got Master of Puppets from Metallica. I can't believe there are people that bash this album for being too popular or overrated. This album is a masterpiece and it deserves all the praise it gets. The production and guitar tone sounds so unique and heavy, and every single track kicks ass. Metallica are just amazing songwriters and this album is one of those albums that proves it. From this point on is just classic album after classic album. That's what you get with 1986. Up next is Rain in Blood from Slayer. Just like Master of Puppets, this album deserves all the praise it gets. This album is fucking fast, evil, and heavy as hell. This album doesn't stop. It's just riff after riff after drum fill after riff. I love this album and it's definitely one of the best thrash metal albums for me. Here's another thrash metal album. At number 3 is Peace Sells But Who's Buying from Megadeth. I adore this album. I love Chris Poland and Dave Mustaine's guitar work on here. All the solos and riffs just shred. And this album also has a really unique style. A lot of riffs are a lot more sinister and creepier sounding. And David Ellefson does some badass bass work. This album is no doubt a classic and I absolutely love it. At the number 2 spot we got Black Sabbath's Seventh Star. I already made a video on this album and I strongly suggest you check it out if you haven't. But in summary, Tony Iommi is a fucking god. The songs he wrote on this album are amazing as hell. This album is heavy but also really melodic, and the lineup for this album is one of my favorite Black Sabbath lineups. Glenn Hughes on vocals is phenomenal on this album. Whoever ignores this album needs to re-listen to it again. The music is amazing on this album. And then at number 1, we got Iron Maiden's Somewhere in Time. For those of you who don't know, Somewhere in Time is my favorite metal album of all time. I think it has everything a metal album should have. Amazing futuristic sounding production, heavy riffs, epic tracks, fast brutal songs. more catchier songs, and every single song has an amazing mind-blowing solo. I think in every category this album has everything possible for a perfect metal album. Every band member also does an amazing job. Adrian Smith and Steve Harris are phenomenal on this album. So those were my 10 favorite metal albums from 1986. I definitely love this year a lot. It's definitely one of the better years for metal. Thank you guys for watching and hit subscribe for more content.